So let's get into lengthening the pelvic floor muscles with a little bit of, well, it's really just relaxing. We keep so much tension in the pelvic floor, and sometimes we're even taught to do these things called Kegels in order to strengthen the pelvic floor. We really want pliability in the pelvic floor. And without going on a tangent, we could say, how many times do you do things to strengthen your diaphragm? Really, you want a very pliable diaphragm, respiratory diaphragm, so that you can draw air in and expel air very efficiently, so that the rib cage can expand and contract efficiently. The pelvic floor is no different. In fact, it does move with the diaphragm. So when you're breathing in and your diaphragm goes down, some biomechanists would say that the pelvic floor also drops down, or when you breathe out and the diaphragm goes up, the pelvic floor raises a little bit. There are some arguments on both sides of that, but regardless, there is some movement in the pelvic floor as you go through your day breathing 17,000 times a day. So we're going to do what we call reverse Kegels, and many people teach this. We just want the people we work with to have access to this as well. So if you'd like, you could use a tennis ball just to kind of find the pelvic floor. It's an awkward thing, maybe not something you want to do in public, but you could take the tennis ball, find your ischium on one side. So that's the bone you sit on, sometimes even called the sits bone. The pelvic floor is going to be between the two ischia. So you have an ischia, right? And then genitals and anus. So the pelvic floor is in that space there. Lots of muscle, lots of strong muscle. So gently place the tennis ball there, and you might even need to kind of raise up and move around on the tennis ball. I'm not asking you to spend a lot of time here, but you could. Then you're just going to kind of lower your weight down onto the tennis ball. If you don't have a tennis ball, you can work with your hands at this point underneath the ischia, between the ischia, to feel the pelvic floor. Our purpose in doing this in this video is just to give you awareness of where the pelvic floor muscles are. So from there, fire the muscles you would fire to stop a flow of urine. And when you fire those muscles, you're going to feel those muscles moving in some way related to the tennis ball. You might feel your ischia come closer together. As they relax, you might feel your ischia spread further apart. Okay, enough of that nonsense. Come out of that. That was only to feel the pelvic floor. If you want some self-myofascial release, you could watch our self-myofascial release of the pelvic floor video. From here, just come into a tailor cross position if that's comfortable for your body. If not, find a chair. Feel your ischia on the ground and do what we call a reverse Kegel. In other words, do the opposite of firing the muscles that you would fire to stop a flow of urine. It's actually, the action is almost as if you're about to pee, right? So if your bladder is full, you may want to use the restroom before you do this, but you're going to really expand those pelvic floor muscles, letting the ischia come apart, creating the sensation of, man, I could go to the bathroom. So that's uncomfortable for some people to talk about, but this is part of our biology and an important part of something to be aware of and something to have control over for good biomechanics. So you could hang out in that position for a while, just really almost dropping the pelvic floor down toward the ground. It's almost like you're creating intra-abdominal pressure in the really low part of your pelvis and low abdomen. Or another position you could work in is in a kneeling position with your heels on your ischia. So if the ischia are like two rollerblade wheels, they kind of feel that way when you sit on them or when you come in contact with them. If we were to say they're two rollerblade wheels, your heels might be kind of on the, if this is the wheel, kind of on the front of the wheel, front lower part of the wheel. Then, just with a slight movement, you can kind of move your heels intentionally away from each other, and you're going to get a stretch across that tissue, across the ischia. So again, remember, pelvic floor, between the two ischia, between genitals and anus. And then add your reverse Kegel. So again, just trying to get as relaxed in that area as you can and actively lengthen by using that area in the way that you would use that area if you had to pee. Deep breathing is good there. Okay, last position we'll talk about is you could release the pelvic floor using reverse Kegels in a prone position. So the way we would do this is lying face up, bring your feet all the way together, drop a knee out, feel the ischias, the way the ischia are relating to each other, and just same thing. Relax those muscles down as if you are preparing to go to the bathroom. And you would do that on the other side too. So, just a little bit of that will get you really relaxed and pliable on the pelvic floor. And I would advise you to do this work especially after any hard squatting work, because in squats the ischia are coming apart and coming together. So if you're really training your squat, this pelvic floor release through a reverse Kegel would be powerful. But good for breathing. And of course, if we are working with you in the therapy room, we may ask you to watch this video too. So yeah, have fun with reverse Kegels to release the pelvic floor.